So for this part of it, it's called flushing the system. And I'm going to use a portrait video because it's just easier, not only for me to hold the phone, but the device is slim. Step one, always start the system flushing with a new tank of potable tap water. Carefully fit the feed tank back into the tank base and close the cover. As you can see, I have filled it with water from the tap. You probably can't make that out, but here we go. It says max. So I'll put at max, and I'm gonna push the handle down, and I'm gonna close the cover. Heard it click. That's the end of step one. Now I'm at the front of the machine. Step number 2 says, place a large container on the drip tray and have another container ready to alternate. So I have to go find another container. Here is the drip tray. I removed the drip tray because my container I think is too big, as you can see. If there's, or maybe not, but I don't want to use the drip tray and find myself in a position where I can't get it out, because apparently I have to swap containers. So I'm going to go find another container, but in the meantime, I'm going to place this container underneath as they asked. So as you can see, I got another container. It's nowhere as large as this one. They say that you would need to alternate containers. The only other thing I could find that I had big enough was a coffee can that I just finished the coffee, and I didn't know if I wanted to use a metal can. So I'm using this, and hopefully these two will hold all the water that's there. Let's keep our fingers crossed, and on to the next step, number 3. Okay, so I'm back at the back of the machine because step number 3 says plug it in. The system will automatically flush the membrane for 30 seconds. Then the filtering indicator light will be on. Membrane flushing is the internal flushing. The flush water will return to the feed water tank with no water out of the spout. So I'm going to plug it in now. So I rushed around to the front. I plugged it in. Here it says it's blinking pure water shortage. I'm not sure what that means. It says it will automatically flush. I can hear it now. Maybe you can too. You can see that. So it's doing the automatic flush. Once that's done in 30 seconds, we'll look at the next step. So step 4 says filtering. The system will automatically start the filter and transfer the pure water to the internal pure water reservoir. So the water at the back, as you can see that action is going on there, right? And it actually has a little frothing at the top. That's not frothing, that's vaporization. It says it will transfer the pure water to the internal pure water reservoir, waiting until the filtering indicator light turns off, about 10 minutes, which means the internal pure water reservoir is full. Once that's done, then we'll move to the next step. Just to show you, at the front there, the light is on for filtering. It says pure water shortage, I'm not sure why. You can see it says the display at the top is flushing, and they have 180 milliliters, 350, 450, and reset. So we'll come back when the next stage starts in about 10 minutes. I do want to point out that the pure water shortage that was blinking stopped blinking, which means that I'm assuming that enough water from here, if you notice it's going down, has transferred into the internal tank and the filters. So now there's no more internal water shortage of pure water. So that has stopped blinking. I'm waiting for the flushing light to go off. Okay, that was less than 10 minutes. That was actually pretty quick. The next step, empty the internal pure reservoir to flush. Push the flushing button, which I believe is the first one there. Push the flushing button. The pure water will start to flow from the outlet into the internal until the internal reservoir is empty. So I'm hoping we can stop this at some point, because obviously if that has more water than my container, I might run into a problem. But let's give it a shot. So here we go. That lights it up, I guess. And here we go. So now this process is taking the water that went in from the tank into the pure water system in here and flushing it out here. So I think my container is big enough, or at least between the two. I'm just hoping if I have to swap, I guess there's a way I can stop by pressing the flushing water button. But we'll see. I'll be back when this fills up, because you can see it'll take a while. So I guess we're getting close to emptying what was in the system. You see it's blinking pure water shortage again. My guess is that this will stop. Let's see what happens once it's emptied. And yes, look, it's stopping. And I'm assuming that it's filling up from the inside again. I think I have enough in a container here not to have to empty it. I'm gonna take the chance. So I hear the machine moving. Yep, there you go. So it looks like, yes it is. I see some bubbles. I want to assume that it's filling the internal reservoir again with the next set of water that's in there, and it will let me know because the filtering light is on, as you can see here. So, and there's pure water shortage. So if it's working right, according to how I understand it, it's now moving another set of water to fill up the internal tanks here. And at that point, this filtering light should go off and I should be able to continue. So I'll be back if and when that happens. So just as expected, pure shortage water light is off. Tank is much lower. Filter light is off, so it's time for me to press it again. I really wish that if you look here carefully, you've got to go in real close. And this is not just with the camera, it's with the naked eye too. You can't really see these labels that easily. Like, you know, the measurement labels, which obviously this would be measurements, as I know from my other machine, to when you put a glass to get water, how much water you want. At the top of the pure shortage, there is a button here, if I come out right, it says change water, UV, filtering, RO and CF. These are two cartridges, RO and CF, I'm assuming when they need to be changed. But I wish the labeling, I know it lights up with the LED lights, but maybe it should have been white or something like this logo, and then light up blue and active, because you really can't see them that well. Anyway, here we go again to continue the filtering. Press once, you see they all light up. Press again, and it continues. I'll be back when it stops again. So, as you can see, I'm almost at the top of my quite large container. Now we have pure water shortage and change water blinking. I'm looking at the tank, there's nothing really going on. I'm assuming that I need to, let's see what the book says here. I'm assuming I need to refill. It says, the system will continue to filter when the internal pure reservoir is empty, waiting until the filter indicator light turns off again, and pushing the flushing button again to empty the pure water reservoir. Continue repeating steps 4 through 6 until the change water indicator lights starts flashing. As you can see, it's flashing now. Empty the remaining water in the feed water tank, which is the back tank. Now, steps 1 through 7 are 1 round of system flushing process. Please repeat these steps for 3 through 5. I'm sorry, please repeat these steps for 3 to 5 times to complete system flushing.
Motion detected at the back.
I'm sorry, my camera went off. Wife's in the backyard with the garden, I guess. So I will now empty the water in that tank, refill it, and go through this entire process again another 4 times. And then I'll be back to do, I guess, water pour and a taste test. Just to keep you informed, I just put in another full container of water. I'm not sure. What is interesting here is in repeating steps, the flushing steps, it said to repeat from step 3, which meant plugging it in to start. And the plugging in motion might actually be what makes it start automatically, because from what I can tell here, nothing is happening. I can feel it on, but I don't see any action of water transferring, and I don't see any blinking here. So I'm going to try plugging it out and plugging it back in to see if that's what starts it automatically, and if that is literally what they meant when they said from step 3 on. So there you go. So that's very interesting. You can hear the machine again, and it's not that noisy. It's sitting at a bad angle on my bar. Yeah, I had to twist it for the big container to fit in front. Let's see what it says in front, because I actually plugged it out and plugged it back in. So that's correct. Now you see it says filtering. So that's very important to note about this. I was looking at the side to see what's going on. When you go through the flushing stages, and it says steps 3 through 5, step 3 says plug in the system and it will automatically flush. That is very literal in this sense. So in other words, as you're going through the flushing stages, if you purchase this machine, it'll be important to note that each time you go through the flushing stage, when it's emptied and you get to change water up here and you have to empty everything, you need to plug it out and refill the water and then plug it back in to start the automatic flushing process. I want to assume that I don't have to leave this machine plugged in 24 hours a day, even when I'm not using it, although I may, because, why not? If it's just sitting there, right? I'm not sure, but I guess I'll ask the company that at some point. But for now, I can tell you that it wouldn't start the flushing process again unless I plugged it out and plugged it back in. So now I'm waiting for the filtering light to go off, and then I can start flushing. And this will be round number 2. I will just show you when that happens, and then I will not come back until it's done. Round number 5 is done. So as I promised, I'm just coming back to show you. This is round number 2. I have to flush now. The filter, the light went off. You can see the tank. The water went down in the tank, and now it should start. There we go. So this is round number 2. Like I said, when I come back again, I would have done 5 rounds. So I just finished the second round of flushing. What I think is interesting, what made me pause here to come back to you, is that if you notice, there is a lot more water in my container now. So the last time it stopped around here, right? And so it seems on the second round to have flushed a lot more water, quite a bit more water out of the system than it did the first round. Now it's blinking change water, but when it first stopped a moment ago, the change water light was not on. So I just wanted to point that out. That's important, I guess, when choosing your containers. I want to believe that I can press flushing to stop the flushing during the process, and maybe before I finish the 5th process, I'll bring you back with a video and we'll try stopping by hitting the flushing button to see if it'll stop during the process and then restart so you can do a container change without a mess. So again, I apologize for the portrait video. I just think that for the footprint of this, portrait is better than doing this, right? And then stepping away. I need to be close to it. So let's stick with the portrait. One of the questions we want to answer, at least I want to answer during this process, is it is now flushing. So let's say my container is full and I need to swap containers. Let's see if I can stop it and restart it. This is a test, right? So I can stop it. and I can restart it. So at least you know you're not going to be juggling like, oops, let me get this container in there real quick. You can simply monitor, and if it reaches the top, stop it and continue your flushing. If you don't have a big enough container, like if this was all I had, I'd probably have to stop and start like 3 times. This is round number 3. They say 3 to 5 times of flushing before you use it. Then you don't have to do it again, I believe for 6 months, which is the lifespan of the filters. So the kind of person I am, if a company says 3 to 5 times, I'm going to do it 5 times. I'm not going to do it the minimal. I'm going to do it the maximum because I want the best out of the system. And obviously, when I do my last video, which is a performance video, I want, it's going to be a taste test. It's going to be a test of how it pours. So I want the best chance. This is what we're going to put in our bodies, right? So I'll come back when it's completely done. You won't see round number 4 unless something happens. I won't record that, but I will use that round to time it to see how long the entire flushing process takes. Okay, so I'm back now, and system has been flushed 5 times. It should be ready to dispense water. I think it flushes possibly when you turn it on. So this is the flushing button, I believe, is also the power on button. Now I'm using this container today because you might not be able to see it maybe from that angle. It's in milliliters, 100, 200, 300, 400, all the way to 700. As you can see on here, it dispenses 150, 180, 350, 450, right? So let's see what happens now that we're looking at performance. I think they say when you first start it, I guess I don't need to hit flushing. So let's try 180 milliliters, see what happens. Okay, let's let it drip a little bit. So I'm looking at the container now, and that's hard to see. So I'm gonna look at it with my naked eye and tell you that it's just below 200. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe there you can, maybe you can't. So I would say that's about right. I was gonna wait till the end to do my taste test, but let me see. Let me tell you what it tastes like. Good tasting water. Good tasting water. I'm gonna dump this just so that we can try I'm looking for accuracy here, the 350 milliliter. Let's see where we are. Again, I'm going to try to do it. So it's between, you can't see, you may not be able to see it again. I don't know what angle to give you, but it's between 350 and, it's between 304. So that's about 350. I tasted it again just to see if it's getting colder. It's not. So this will give you what it feels like, purified water. Very good tasting water, but not cold. Now we're on the last one. This is 450 milliliters. There's also if you want a lot of water from it, I won't test it today. If you want a lot of water from it, they tell you you can press the flushing button and just let it pour until you get to, let's say you wanted a full cup, and then stop it, right? So these are precise measurements, but you can use the flushing button to fill a cup full. It's not a problem. You notice as I'm pouring, the filtering light is on the top. So let's see what we have. This is supposed to be 450 milliliters. And yep, it's between 400 and 500 on the cup. I'm not sure if you can see that. You probably can't, but it is also right. So it's pouring accurately. It tastes good. It's a nice looking machine. In case I didn't mention, I don't think I did, when I timed it, it took 15 minutes for each um, filtering and flushing for when you have two new cartridges. So that would mean that if you're going to do it 4 times, I did it 5. So if you're going to do it between 3 and 5, so you're either at 45 minutes, an hour, or an hour and 15 minutes each time you change the filters. The filters, according to the manufacturer's website, only required to be changed every 6 months. Now, I'm not sure if that 6-month period is based on the breakdown of the chemical in the filter or usage, because this is on my bar. This is going to get a plug. It's a Bartesian cocktail maker, an amazing machine that mixes cocktails. And I like to, I'd be able to use purified water to fill it up, which is what you should use to keep the life of the cocktail maker going, well as, also with cleaner water. It takes water in the back to mix with the alcohol. Now, I'd be interested to find out if that 6 months is based on some algorithm they use to calculate mean usage, or it has to do with the breakdown of the chemical. The reason I'm saying that is this will not get daily heavy usage down here. This will get usage on the weekend, so Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, and then not again till the next weekend usually. I have a filter, a different company that you can look on the-gadgeteer.com, where all these reviews are. By the way, you can see it just shut off there. Where all these reviews are, and that filter is different in the sense that that water filter uses a removable cartridge similar to this, but the flushing time I think is less. Also, it gives hot water and cold water. This just gives purified water. Albeit that I think that from tasting this water, it's really very good, and likely what I'm getting here to drink is probably of a better quality. I can't say for sure, don't quote me, but of the other machine I have, in terms of the final product of the water and the filtering process it goes through. But this does not give you hot water. This gives you room temperature water, probably depending on, maybe a little cooler than room temperature, but not cold water, not hot water. One other thing I would say about performance is, as you can see, this is lit up here, but when it goes off, and I guess it goes off on a timer because it will eventually go off blank, you can't see flushing and the measurements, etc. in certain modes. Like when we were flushing it, these would not light up, the measurements, because it was a flushing process, right? But I would prefer, if just a personal preference, and somebody's at my door, so forgive the interruption by my Ring cameras, I would prefer if maybe the lettering was in white, like the logo, and then when it's active, it's lit up blue. So I could actually see all the labels, because there are labels here, right? There's a label here for the cartridge CO, FC, or whatever it is, filtering, change water. There's labels there, but you can't see them. Also, according to the instructions, this UV button will go off after about an hour. So that is this. SimPure water filter. The exact process of what the filtering does will be visible when you read the review at the-gadgeteer.com, and I will I will copy and paste from the manufacturer's website their process so you understand what the water goes through to its purification stage. As I was speaking to you, you saw that it went into, I guess, sleep mode, so there are no labels, right? So you can't see unless something lights up. Again, maybe some people are okay with it that way. I prefer if there was all white writing and then it lit up blue with the LEDs. But that's it. SimPure water purifier, water filtration system.